How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Vampiress Carmilla number 14. This is for May 2023, and if you guys are unfamiliar with this magazine, this is black and white, classically styled anthology horror comics. And overall, this magazine is fun as always. If you guys like that twist of fate stuff, there's quite a bit of that in this issue. We get the first 3 stories being kind of strange love stories, and they're going to end in tragic ways for our point of view characters. Lots of fun stuff, and we even round out the issue with a vampire time travel story. That's cool. The Creeps, which would become Shudder, and Vampiress Carmilla, I really do like that. Classic tropes, reinvented, rearranged, put in new ways. It's always really fun. And I guess before I get into the bulk of this review, I should quickly address, this is kind of late. Even though the magazine says May of 23, these things come out like 2 months early. And I'm sorry to get this series to you guys really late. During the rest of this week, I'm going to be working on playing catch-up for Carmilla and Shudder. I just had a super busy last 2 months in real life, and it's starting to finally look like things are settling down again. And when the dust was settling, I realized, oh no, I'm behind on this. So I'm gonna have this big Carmilla and Shudder reading marathon. I think there's one more Shudder and then one more Carmilla to get to, and then I'll be all caught up. But sorry I've been so late on this. Anyway, without further ado, if you guys want to see a little peek at a few of the stories with mini reviews and a little bit of the art, I won't be doing any spoilers, but if you want to take a closer look at this magazine, we're going to switch to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Vampiress Carmilla, number 14 for May 2023. And I think this cover is pretty cool. We get this lady with half a skeleton face, bikini covering it up. YouTube, don't get mad at me for that. And we get this mysterious figure coming out of this house. What exactly is going on here? What's the scenario? Well, we'll find out in page 7, and we do get this cover is by St. Julian here. If we crack the book open, we get Carmilla's Scary Tales, and it talks about our Anconchi. Sorry if I mispronounced that, but it's a Greek myth of the mother of all spiders, and it's how this, there's a woman who is an expert weaver, and she said she was better than the gods, and she is going to go into a challenge with one of them, Athena, and I can't show you the bottom 2 panels. One of them has a breast in it, and YouTube doesn't like spider boobs. But anyway, needless to say, never challenge the gods, because they'll screw you over. After that, we get the table of contents and the credits, number 14, Carmilla's Blood Letters, Horror House, A Lonely Sucker, Green Scream, Defund the Slayers, If the Shoe Fits, Carmilla's Fan Club, and Time Change. And we get to see some fun pictures that give us a few clues as to what might happen in the stories and where you can find them. Anyway, after that we do get the letters page, and we get this notification down here about the passing away of Lou Mogan, which is really sad. I heard about it recently. One of you guys in the comments told me, and I did address it in the previous video, but he was a really good writer, but on top of that, he would also leave comments on these videos, and he was a really nice guy from what interaction I had with him. Really sad to see him go, and he actually passed away New Year's Eve 2022, and that is really sad. But on top of that, one more thing that this obituary mentions, Lou Mogan was born in 1954 in Iowa, but lived most of his life in Texas. For those of you guys who don't know, I actually live in Texas too. It is so strange that this guy, I mean, I don't know how far away he is. I could have been in the Austin area or something, but now I'm wondering if I ever met him and didn't know it, you know? But really a good guy, a good writer. So yeah, sad to see him go there. Anyway, I guess we have to go on with the review, though. I'm going to be going into the stories proper now. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but that being said, I do want to show you guys some of the story, some of the art, do a bit of analysis, but I will be avoiding those twists, so don't worry about that. Anyway, we, as always with Carmilla, open up with a page of Carmilla in the castle, and we get this fun bit where she's about to read the horror story. She's got her big book that just says horror on it, and we get a salesman knocking at their door, and he's actually selling solar panels, and I guess the monsters don't like that, because most of them don't like sunlight or something? I don't know, but they all eat the salesman. Anyway, fun little introduction there, and now we get into the first story, Horror House, and this is the one that matches the cover, so we will get to see how all the cover elements came into play. And we get the first one, this guy, he lives alone in his mansion. That's one of the pieces from the cover. And his wife died, but he won't accept it. And rather than burying her, is leaving her body in his house. And he says that every day he has to come and whack the rats off the body to keep them from eating it. Right off the bat. Good, gruesome, classic concept there. And plus her name is Lenore and she died, so there's a few Edgar Allan Poe Easter eggs for the Poe fans there. Speaking of which, he's got a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore there, and he's found out that the gypsies that camp on his ground actually have the key to bringing his wife back to life. However, when he goes to visit them, they're going to say, no, we won't let you have that, it is dangerous magic. But before he can leave, he is attacked by a strange creature with these cool, glowing eyes. Gotta love that panel, very, very minimal there. And I won't go any farther in the story, but a really good classic Gothic story with a classic Gothic sad twist, you know, and it is definitely one of those sad twist of fate stories, and overall, good old-timey, old-school horror there. Really did enjoy that, and I loved finding out how every piece of the cover comes into play there. Is a good bit of revelations. Anyway, the next story is called A Lonely Sucker, and Carmilla is introducing this guy as one of her new vampire friends, and he even says, Carmilla says, let me hand it over to him, and he goes, well, Carmilla didn't tell you my whole backstory, so let me do that. So this is sort of, you know, an interaction with the actual host there, which I think is kind of fun, but he's a regular guy, and he talks about he approaches woman because he's tired of being alone and he's trying to get a date, but every woman has some excuse as to why they can't date him, and now he's sad and alone and watching old monster movies. Well, he's at a cafe with his friend who says, hey, go talk to that beautiful woman over there. She's beautiful and I think you have a chance. And they actually strike it off. However, she leaves rather suddenly, and he says, his friend says, just come here the same time next week, you might see her, which I don't think really would work. It's just a thing, you know, you bump into someone once, they're usually gone forever. Okay, that sounds pessimistic, but it is hard to meet someone intentionally, again, by happenstance. But he looks out and meets her again, and it all goes well, and even though they like each other, she's keeping her distance for some reason. But remember how Carmilla told us the story would be about vampires. I think we have an idea what might happen, but overall, a fun story, and again, a sad twist of fate there. After that, we get Green Scream. And luckily for me, the coat in that random bit of fog is censoring this enough where I don't think YouTube will get mad. But there's a guy and a lady is coming at him. Well, how did we get here? He's in a mad scientist laboratory. And it talks about how he's an alchemist and he found an ancient tome which can tell him how to bring the dead back to life. And it's actually a pretty cool process where he mixes up the chemical. He's not allowed to touch it because it's very dangerous. And if he puts it on bones, the bones will regrow flesh. And he's doing it all in this cool haunted castle too. Well, he is going to try that with a human skeleton now, a human female skeleton, so we know how he got there. And it, of course, you know, it's an anthology horror story. We're waiting to see how he's going to mess up. But I do like the idea, you know, it's bones and you can bring the bones back to life. That's pretty cool, I think. But I won't go any farther in that story. Anyway, after that is Defund the Slayers, which is a clear reference to the Defund the Police movement. And I think maybe if they had left that a little bit more metaphorical, I think there are some people that are still pretty touchy on this subject, but the story itself is pretty good. We get these vampire slayers. There was a city that was overrun with vampires, but the slayers are making mistakes. There are people that they think are vampires, but are actually just normal people, and people are complaining to the mayor, and we get a few examples. Oh, this lady was just pale and they staked her. This guy liked bloody meat, but he wasn't a vampire. And they said the vampires have been all gone since they destroyed the castle, and we really don't want any more of these slayers. But he needs them as an excuse to bring in more tax money, which he's secretly spending on himself. But the mayor is visited by a mysterious carriage, and again, cool twist of fate. This mayor character is just ripe for comedic justice, which these stories do love to dish out, and I do like the fun twist at the ending. A cool plot, a cool idea. Anyway, if the shoe fits, we get this lady whose husband has killed himself because of financial ruin because of her crippling shoe addiction. And then she goes, I can't believe you died in those cheap shoes. So yeah, we're going kind of comedic with this story. But after that, at the funeral, turns out her husband had an estranged sister, and they both share a love for shoes. She shows the sister her collection, but the sister actually has an even bigger collection. And we know this girl is obsessive, and she is going to do anything she can to get the shoes. And I won't spoil what it is, but I have to show you this panel of her grabbing all the sister's shoes in her hands and laughing maniacally. I absolutely love this panel here. But of course, she's going to use crime to try to get the shoes, and you know, it's never gonna work out. You gotta be super careful being a criminal in anthology horror, and there is going to be, again, I guess this is the twist of fate issue, because I really do love the ironic, you know, almost Tales from the Crypt style ending this one has. I thought it was pretty fun. Anyway, here we are at the last story. It feels like I always say this, but whenever we get to the last one, I'm always like, whoa, we're at the last one already. They do kind of fly by. And this one's entitled Time Change. And yeah, this is something that Shudder and Carmilla does a whole lot, which is combining two things that don't normally go together, but turn out to work together super well. And here is vampires and time travel, which, yeah, that is a concept I didn't think would go together, but it actually does work. In this one, they have a laboratory, and they're like, are you sure we want to do this? Yeah, I've never sent a human through time before. And he goes, I'm not exactly human. But we find out why he wants to do this. You see, he doesn't like being a vampire, being an undead monster. He wants to be human again. So he wants to go back in time to the day that he became a vampire and stop it from happening. And we get a flashback after he gets ready to pull the switch and send him back in time. And it turns out he was this regular guy from America who went to Romania, because that's where his family's from, and he kind of was judging people, saying, oh, you're superstitious and stuff. But when he went into the woods late at night, he was indeed approached by vampires, bitten, and he turned into a vampire himself, and you can see him feeling guilt for killing that lady. So now he's back in time, and he only has a few minutes before the machine's gonna automatically send him back. So in a few minutes, can he turn his life around? Can he change it where he's not a vampire? And this has a really fun, one of those pay attention to the details things, you know? Because it has a kind of, you know, where it goes is a little bit out of nowhere unless you pay attention to the details. And overall, I thought that story was very fun. Again, a case of two things that I liked both of them individually, never thought of them going together, but here it is, and it works. So overall, Vampiress Carmilla number 14 is great as always. As I said, Shudder and Carmilla have always been just incredibly consistent, and I do like a wide variety of stories, lots of different writers, lots of different artists, and this issue turned out very good. At the beginning of the review, I did mention that I've been a little bit behind on this series, so throughout the rest of the week, if everything goes as planned, I will get to, and I'm thinking I'm going to do them in the order they came out, so after this, Shudder, and then Vampiress 14. So keep an eye out for those. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my Creeps, Carmilla, and Shudder playlist, where you can see me review a bunch of these past issues. I have all of Shudder and Carmilla reviewed in there, and if you want to see me talk about a bunch of the old stories, those are in there. It's a huge playlist. I've covered them for a while. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.